Did you know that the average small business owner spends over 10 hours a week fixing messy books? And most of the time, it's just trying to find things. I should probably preface that with saying these are small business owners doing their own books. Today, I'm going to show you 5 things that you should do when you realize your books are unorganized. So number 1, and I talk about this all the time, very important to run a profit and loss and a balance sheet. And you want to run these for the current year. So doing this is going to kind of give you a snapshot of how messy things really are. And what I always like to do is grab a highlighter and go through each report line by line. Maybe you'll see negative balances, duplicate income, or duplicate expenses, things that don't make sense. So just go through with your highlighter line by line and flag anything that looks off. Don't worry about fixing anything just yet. This step is just about identifying the problem areas. Step 2, check your chart of accounts. I know I've talked about the chart of accounts before as well, but a messy QuickBooks file usually has too many accounts or accounts that just don't make sense for your business. For example, you might have 3 different accounts for office supplies. One might be office expenses, one might be office supplies, one might be called something else. You might also see an account called uncategorized expenses or uncategorized income. Another one I see a lot is ask my accountant. So any of these types of accounts that have a balance, that's something you're going to want to flag. Take your highlighter again, print out your chart of accounts, go through it line by line, look for those things like duplicate accounts or accounts that you don't use, and make sure you're highlighting and flagging anything that looks redundant or unclear so that you can clean it up later. Okay, number 3, the next thing we want to do is take a look at and review our bank feeds and reconciliations. And we're going to do that by going to accounting and then bank transactions. This is where we're going to see, are your bank feeds up to date? And more importantly, have you been reconciling every month? If your reconciliations haven't been done in a while, mark that as top priority to fix, because unreconciled accounts are one of the biggest causes of messy books. I'm going to say that again. Unreconciled accounts equal messy books. On this screen here, we can see that our checking account has 25 transactions that need attention. Those are all listed right down here. I can also see there is 1 transaction in the savings account that needs to be posted and 7 transactions under the MasterCard that need to be posted. Okay, step 4. Look at undeposited funds. So if you're unsure what undeposited funds is, it's just a temporary holding account in QuickBooks Online. So say you collected a payment from a customer and recorded it in your QuickBooks Online. And when you recorded the payment, you deposited it into the undeposited funds account. Now, the reason for doing this is if you have like 5 customer payments and you're depositing them all together as one bank deposit. You're going to first deposit the payment into undeposited funds, and then you're going to create a bank deposit. When you go to create a bank deposit, any payment that you deposited into the undeposited funds holding account will show up as a payment to be deposited. If we deposit all 3 of these customer payments together, this is our total bank deposit, $2,301.52. So if you've been recording customer payments, but you haven't been recording it this way, you may be overstating your income. This can happen if instead of depositing the check to undeposited funds, you tell QuickBooks instead to deposit the check right into the checking account when you record the customer payment. And then when that bank deposit syncs through the bank feed into this linked checking account, you're going to be recording that customer payment again. Okay, so you would be overstating your income, which is not something we want to do. Another really good way to check this is to go to your balance sheet and look at your undeposited funds balance. If there's a really big number on this line, chances are you may not have been doing your bank deposits correctly. Okay, I hope you're ready for step number 5. Review your open invoices and bills. Under the standard reports, you will find a report called Accounts Payable Aging Summary and one called Accounts Receivable Aging Summary. Pro tip, I have these saved as favorites. All you need to do is scroll down to whatever report you want to look at. If it's one that you use often, I recommend clicking the green star, and that will bring that specific report up here to your favorites so you don't have to go scrolling for it every time you want to look at it. The Accounts Payable Aging Summary is going to be really helpful in telling you what you owe. It's a really nice, really quick snapshot of what you need to pay and how old all of these vendor invoices are. If you have anything in here that's really old, you might just want to look into it. It could be something that you paid already and just never recorded in QuickBooks Online, therefore contributing to your messy books. The other report similar to the one we just looked at is the accounts receivable aging summary. This one is going to give you a nice quick snapshot of all of the income you have coming in, theoretically. Once again, if there's anything really old in here, you're going to want to do a deep dive into it and check and see if it was paid by the customer already. And you are able to drill down into any of these customer invoices by just hovering over any one of them and clicking on the invoice. Now, I do want to circle back to step number 1, where we talked about identifying the problem areas on your balance sheet or your profit and loss. So things to look out for that might be a red flag on your balance sheet. Things like a checking account showing a negative balance when you know it shouldn't, or a credit card showing a positive balance when you know that there is a balance on that credit card. For either of those scenarios, you could have duplicate payments, you could have duplicate transactions, you could have missing payments, or you could have bank feeds that weren't matched correctly or reconciliations that weren't done properly. Next, take a look at your accounts receivable. This should usually have a positive balance. What this number here means is that we have customers who owe us a total of $5,000. So we have $5,000 worth of invoices sitting out there. If this number is negative, you could have applied a customer payment without an invoice, or a customer overpaid on a bill, or possibly has a credit on their account. You'll also want to look at your accounts payable. This number as well should have a positive balance. This means that we have $1,600 worth of invoices that we need to pay to vendors. If this number is negative, it could mean that we overpaid on a bill, paid something twice, or a payment didn't get matched properly in the bank feed. We did talk about undeposited funds, but you'll definitely want to take a look at that account as well and just make sure there isn't a huge balance in there. Maybe even drill down on this account if there's any balance at all, and make sure that all of the customer payments sitting in undeposited funds will be part of a bank deposit in the next few days. A few more things to check. Make sure you don't have any accounts called uncategorized asset or ask my accountant that have balances. If there are balances in these accounts, it means that there are transactions waiting to be categorized. So just review and reclassify those transactions. Make sure there are no negative inventory account balances or loan or liability balances that don't match your statements. If there's anything you're unsure of on your balance sheet, it's always a good idea to actually send it to your accountant and ask them if they can clarify what's going on your balance sheet, and just to double check that everything looks correct. It's never a bad idea to have an extra set of eyes on your books. Okay, moving on to the profit and loss statement and what constitutes as a red flag on this statement. So you should never really have a negative balance for your income or for your cost of goods sold. If you do, it might mean that transactions were categorized incorrectly. So if that's the case, if you have a negative balance, you'll definitely want to click on that number here to drill down into that account and see what's causing that negative balance. Also check to make sure you don't have any uncategorized income or uncategorized expenses. I also see we have an account called miscellaneous, and there's a $2,900 balance in this account. Even though it's not an uncategorized account, I would probably drill down on this one as well, just to check and see if any of those transactions that were classified under miscellaneous might make more sense categorized under a different account. So for any situation like that, I always drill down into the account, look at what's in there. In the case of an uncategorized expense account, we're going to want to make sure that account at the end of the day has a $0 balance. One pro tip that I think usually helps a lot in identifying duplicate entries or missing transactions is to change how we view this report and break it out by month. So if we click on the display button and then display the columns by transaction date and sort that by month, we're going to get a breakdown of all of our transactions for each month of the year for each account. What this does is allows us to see if there is anything missing or anything duplicated. Take this bookkeeping expense, for example. There isn't any data in this account for June, July, August, or October, but we do have a transaction in September. So it's possible that's correct, but if I know that I had a bookkeeper for the 4 months that don't have any data, I know I'm going to need to look into that. You can also have QuickBooks show all your negative balances in red so that they stick out better. And then it's really easy to see, well, we spent $70 in June for pest control services, $70 in August, but then we have a negative $100 in September. that seems a little weird. So I might drill down and look into that one. Okay, so there you have it. The first 5 steps to take when your QuickBooks Online file is unorganized. So here's a quick pro tip for everyone who made it this far. Set aside time each month to review these same 5 areas. That way you'll spot small issues before they turn into really big cleanup projects. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more QuickBooks content. And if your file feels really overwhelming, drop a comment below. I would love to make more videos that are helpful to all of you on cleanup strategies to help you out or anything else you're wondering about. We'll see you next time. Bye.